All right, we're back, and time to go over to the lovely world of Serie A, Mina's favorite league. And if you look over to her, you can see just how excited she is. And Mina, I suspect part of it has to do with the fact that things are going great for the team you support. And I forget who it is. So let's start instead with Milan. 4-1 winners at the weekend over Cesena, over Siena. But the big news is Cassano back scoring, and I think maybe showing once again he's a better partner for Ibrahimovic than Robinho.
Definitely. Technically, he's a better player. Secondly, you know what I love about Cassano? It's not that he scored his first goal and this was the first start for him since October and all of that, all the heart problems, but he was so magical with the assists. It was, honestly, if they finished better, they could have been 6 or 7 up. You know, but he just created everything on the field. And I don't think this is a great thing for Milan. I think this is a great thing for Italy going into Euro 2012.
Well, given how rubbish, given the fact that all the Italy strikers right now are either injured, mediocre, or insane.
Exactly.
Actually, to be fair, he fits in the insane category. But
yeah, but I mean, with Balotelli, Giuseppe Rossi out, you know, I mean, he's a technically perfect player.
So just to wind up the Juventini, I need to get you, Paul. You're going to be objective on this.
Of course.
There's a lot of people who engage in this Cassano love who will argue that, oh look, had Cassano been fit all season, Milan would have won the title clearly and comfortably. Are you buying that?
I buy that.
Intangibles, really, isn't it? But there's no doubt that he's a great player. He's a driving force for Milan, and it's great to see him back. You know,
he's been a driving force in what, half a dozen games?
Maybe so. But you know, he's that kind of player that can just produce from nowhere something magical. And as Mina said at the weekend, the assists that he provided and the way that he ran the show at times in that game was spectacular.
But you know what it is? The thing about Cassano is that they've been so dependent on Thiago Silva and Ibra. He offers a third person. He makes Ibra, able to go forward without having to drop deep to constantly find the ball and create something. I do think had Cassano been available, it would have been a different Milan, especially in the Champions League, not just for the the title race. But I also would like to argue that had Juventus actually found a finisher, or Vucinic had actually performed in the way that he's been performing, then it would have been a clear-cut, easy title win for them too.
Yeah, so I will give you that one. If instead of flushing Mari down the toilet on Elia and Krasic, you'd gone out and signed Sergio Aguero, then it would have been a different. But of course, if my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. The bottom line here.
You have to find something to say like that.
Now, looking at Juve though, I was incredibly impressed this weekend. Once again, I don't think Novara didn't play particularly well and sat off them, but they were on a high. This was kind of like their last chance to win something. They knew that Genoa had lost earlier in the day. I kind of expected more from them, but I thought Juve were just absolutely rocking actually in this game. I love the way he used Giaccherini. I'm assuming Borriello's still going to be. They will still have the rotating strikers, and Borriello's just kind of a right man in the right place. A bit of a Forrest Gump, yeah?
Gazzetta dello Sport called him a synthetic pinch player because he's performed against Cesena and against Novara, both on synthetic pitches. But I do think that it's almost like Novara just rolled over. And I'm not going to say no conspiracy theories, but the management are supporters of Juventus. Okay,
you see that? See, look, should I make a reference to 2006? And now, look, they're laughing and rubbing it in now?
No, I'm saying to you as in they like Cesena or Milan supporters. I'm just saying to you. Anyway, but what I was going to say is that I thought that the way that they played their game, with how much space and time they afforded Pirlo, who is very obviously the reason behind Juventus's wonderful push, it is that midfield. What you need to do is stop him, and you pretty much stop a lot of Juventus. And they just offered him all this time.
We're going to get to more interesting things in Juve in a minute, like the race for third place.
That's a little bit harsh. More interesting things than Juve.
I wanted to, otherwise we might have to go talk about Conte, so we don't necessarily want to do that.
It's just all about what you like.
But Paul, I wanted to get you on something which surprised me in a very positive way in the relegation fight. Obviously Lecce and Genoa on paper head-to-head. Lecce were at home against Parma, a team that had nothing to play for. Parma went out at great guns and beat them 2-1, Lecce losing at home. And Genoa, when I was watching that Bologna-Genoa game on Saturday morning, Bologna, of course, managed by Mina's friend, Mr. Pioli.
He's just a really nice coach.
Bologna go 3-1 up, and I figure, okay, I know where this is headed now. They made their point. They destroyed Genoa. Now, do Bologna need the points? No. Now they let them back in, and it's 3-3, and Bologna walk off the pitch among the applause and knowing Genoa owes them a favor. But it didn't happen that way. It got back to 3-2, some great saves at the end. Bologna could have scored a fourth. Is Italian football kind of growing up?
Well, I mean, you know, just to touch really briefly before we get to that on the Pirlo point, he's the kind of player, he's been outstanding this year. And to add a bit of equilibrium to the debate on Pirlo, if you afford him the time and space like Navarra did, he will destroy you, and that's exactly what happened. The Bologna, the relegation fight in Serie A, well, I mean, it's impossible to call, isn't it? I mean, every week teams...
No, answer my question. Are they growing up? Because you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Okay?
It
well,
appears
they
so.
would have been like, what, you can take it because... Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's now people actually fighting rather than it seem being, I do you a favor, you do me a favor.
Or more like, I have no incentive, I've shown that I'm better than you. You go ahead, take the point because you need it.
Yeah, I think so, but that's, you know...
But that's good, isn't it?
I think so. This is what I think. I think that when people criticize the Italian league, you can see clear differences. It is getting better in some ways. It's getting worse in other ways, sure, but...
Well, with Juve winning the title, I know, but go on.
I don't even know what to say anymore. But yeah, no, I did think that game was very interesting. But I thought Bologna were overall, like, you know, the worthy winners. But I did see that they kind of took their back foot, and then, you know, they came back to, you know, with 2 goals, Genoa, and I thought, what's going to happen here? You actually don't know anymore. Whereas before, it's a foregone conclusion.
That's what's fantastic.
Definitely fantastic, and also with like the Lecce, what's happening on, I thought that everyone was predicting them to score a second goal and then take 1 point away, but that didn't happen, and I was dying to see what Cosme was doing on the sidelines. But I
Did you like his little hat, got sunglasses and vest get up?
He is certainly the best dressed, other than Ballardini, both of them just a disaster on the sidelines. But yeah, I do think that this is what I think, that you don't know what's happening. It's actually a race now, rather than, you know, a sort of, you know, we score, and also teams are willing to go out and score 4. You know, that's another thing. You know, before you kind of just got your 1 and you got 2
It's considered rude to run up the score before, but
more
now
than
it's
that, yeah.
But now it's happening.
But still, they do take their foot off the gas after 4. They still think it's kind of rude to get 5.
4 is okay, but 5 is, you know, is insulting.
5 is just
right?
insulting.
There is no point ever in scoring 5 goals, in my opinion.
I think it
can
can only be good if the cliquey, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours mentality is eradicated from you know, relationships between certain teams in Serie A. It's great for the league. It's great for the reputation of the Italian league abroad as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's move on now to talk some race for 3rd place and the last and final Champions League spot. And look who's here on our wall. It's Mr. Tancredi Palmieri. Now, Tancredi, I'm going to set this up because you need to tell us what on God's green earth was going through the minds of the Lazio players. Now,
what?
it's 1-0 to
Udinese.
it's 1-0 to Udinese. It's the 93rd minute and 20 seconds, so there's about 40 seconds left to play in injury time, and there's a whistle coming from the stands.
Yes, indeed.
Very audible. Some Udinese players hear it. Some Lazio players hear it. Marcotti, Lazio goalkeeper, throws himself to the ground. One of the Udinese players, I think Asamoah, starts celebrating, jumping around. Pereira from Udinese keeps playing and scores what I thought was a pretty nifty goal. They lose 2-0. Lazio go demented. They have a count at calf and they go and there's a brawl at the end and Marcotti pushes the referee. Diaz gets sent off. Scaloni behaves like a baby, not for the first time. Now, Lazio, in my opinion, are 100% right that the referee made a mistake, because if the regulations in Italy clearly state that if there's a whistle that is audible on the pitch and the referee hears it and he thinks it's interfering with the players, he has to stop play. Obviously, the referee Bergonzi heard it because he signaled that no, we're playing on. Obviously, the players heard it as well. But that said, is there a difference between losing 1-0 and losing 2-0?
No, there is no difference at all. There is difference between being sure of the 3rd Champions League spot and then finding yourself on Monday with the same points of the other, just behind the other because of goal average in the different games. So that probably boosted the Lazio hysterism, if you want the real explanation, unofficial, but real in my opinion. Also, as you said, by rules, the referee should have stopped the game. Even if you watch it, there was a kind of, anyway, everything is happening something like 3 seconds. I can tell you, even if I've been just for amateur leagues, but being referee, sometimes what it looks like it's very clear from sitting on a sofa. As long as it's happening, everything in 2-3 seconds, can even not be, but can be also that taken in the I would say in the rush of the last second, he would have realized that three times whistle really affected the game. Today already came the banning of the players. Marcotti received a 4-game ban for pushing the referee from behind, and actually could be also dangerous for his collapse for Lazio, because his collapse for Italy at Euro 2012, because it's known about Balotelli, the ethical code that Prandelli, the Italy manager, wanted for the players called in Italy. So who knows, this can affect Marcotti even more. But if you want an explanation about this Lazio stuff, it's not about 1-0 or 2-0. I even went to check about goal average, said maybe they had something in trouble with Udinese, that goal is changing something, was changing completely nothing. They lost the ball and were missing something like really some 10 seconds to the end of the game.
That great that we could study for years. We might never learn what really goes through the minds of Lazio. Mina.
You know what, I also want to talk about the race just in general, because it looks like, I don't understand it, there's 4 teams at the moment. Now, it's all head-to-head. Napoli is the best in terms of the head-to-head
Napoli
average.
have an enormous lead in the head-to-head average.
Because they've beat them. Now, so basically, that doesn't change whether or not, if Lazio managed to lose by 1 or 2-0, it makes absolutely no difference at all.
No, because Lazio are bottom of the 4.
And now, out of everything, they've possibly lost the rest of them. Other than being hit by injuries, they now are hit by suspensions to the upcoming games. So they've pretty much lost 3rd place. Who do you think, now with Inter coming back, I know that you're not a big fan of Stramaccioni.
Well, I mean, I don't.
But do you not think...
I'm going to wait and see how he does.
Okay, but I want to discuss Stramaccioni for a second. I don't know how you feel about him, but you guys make fun of me when I tell you that I think he's really great. Did you not think that his substitutions were very good against Cesena when they were losing 1-0? He made the right substitutions. Do you not think that they started creating more, playing better? Do you not see a better
Or was it a
Inter?
case that he put the wrong lineup initially?
Fine, you can say that. There are lots of people who bring on the wrong lineup, but you've got to be able to change that.
Tancredi, tell us how good Stramaccioni was against relegated Cesena.
Oh my God, I love that you make it like that. It's so mean.
I was there at the stadium, and honestly, even if I read a lot of people saying, oh, there were so many chances, I can't understand why Inter is not winning this game. Honestly, there was one huge, gigantic chance for Pazzini that even just blowing on the ball would score. But apart that, Inter, yes, was playing better than Cesena. Well, but wow, what a surprise. Just relegated 4 days ago, but was not really pushing at someone that...
No, you make fun of Cesena, but they pushed Juventus to the 80th minute.
Yes, no. I'm not making fun of Cesena, Mina. I'm saying that for a team that is fighting for life because can be back on Champions League race, and for a team that just 4 days before he lost any hope because it's been relegated, there was nothing impressive in that game. Inter was playing better, but not that better, not eating out the grass, not saying, okay, in half an hour we win this game and then we will rest and think about the next one. Honestly, not at all. And I was expecting that the manager would push more in some way, would push the player to say, hey guys, there is not tomorrow, now, and not even at the last minute, now in the first half. Waited to concede the goal to Cesena.
So basically, you don't think that Inter's going to make 3rd?
Well, at this point, with all that happened in this season, in Serie A, in Champions League, doing a prediction is kind of suicide. But all in all, I must say that Napoli, in this way, in this moment, got a better mix of form and calendar. Calendar is the main point. Even if I should say that Udinese got something like, got depth with luck. I mean, they had too much bad luck in some games. And my experience tells me that sometimes this bad luck is paying you back at the end of the season. I know that of the 4, we practically named every team that is included in it. But honestly, if you look at Inter playing with Lazio in Roma, playing the derby, Stramaccioni have team spirit. But yesterday, if it wouldn't be Cesena, they wouldn't have win.
Tancredi, thank you so much.
I don't agree. Okay.
Mina doesn't agree, but
What a surprise.
Exactly. Paul, we need you to weigh in about who's going to finish in fourth. Now, I have very clear ideas because there's one team that, as we said, so third, yeah, is sad days, but has a much better calendar than the others. And at the weekend, scored 2 fabulous goals and drawing 2-2 against Roma, a match in which I thought they were outplayed for long stints, but then jacked it up when they needed to and got a point. And that team is Napoli. Am I right?
Yes,
they'll finish third.
I think it's between Napoli and.
Oh, come on! You can't say you sat on the fence before,
Okay,
right?
okay.
I
would go with Napoli. Napoli have got the favourable last 3 games. Udinese have got a fairly kind calendar as well. For me, the games that Inter have against Milan in the derby and then Lazio, I think they will struggle. But yeah, Napoli for me.
Roma, of course, for them, alas, the dream is over, and it's a sad day, but not fully sad in the sense that Luis Enrique is still around, so there's still hope for next season. That sound you hear is Mina groaning, but
I just never mind. Never got that anyway.
You don't need to get a little.
I like him, but I don't think he was the right option anyway in the first week.
But the Luis Enrique experiment continues now. By the way, if you haven't heard, at the end of the game, the Roma Ultras called all the players over except for Heinze, who was busy, and Boyan, who's too much of a little girl. And they all went under the stand, and the players heaped a mixture of abuse and encouragement. Most of all, they wanted to take responsibility. This has been going on for years. And personally, I think it's not a bad custom, although I'm sure many disagree with me. We'll be back after the break.